old man, call Brooklyn again. Don't smile, it only feels like game. Whole train! The New York game is also the New York speed test. Trick or treat. All I have to do is act. All we need is someone from each borough to represent, and then we can explain it can't stop. Faster it goes, the faster we seek reparations. All natures of them juxtaposed. Reparations, counter reparations, not even formal ones, because can't afford it until we can afford a quality of fact treatment nature that we have to afford ourselves. We have to attach the system that is positive to as the species body's volume, as its grouped volumes, distinctly and indistinctly, and as its individual identities of value progression, distinctly and indistinctly, in conjunction with and as the greater identity that science reveals is unto and as all things at once, individually grouped and together, as a simultaneously as a complete nature, as all things are only capable of being, as a semi-nature, even individually, even all together, all temporary / lasting identities of value progression are an identity of value-nature relationship to each individual grouped and together selves, temporary / lasting, as what is positive or negative onto a self. Unto the self, we are a semi-nature relationship to. Not to just the exception nature, but as identity nature, which exception nature is in demonstration of, which is a way of thinking. The identity that both pseudo-ratiocination and that ratiocination share is the identity's hierarchy of self, of as self. Not just as individually grouped and together, but as the self, that is the self-generating identity of value progression that generated matter, that had to be generated before it could bang into each other. Just to show you an example of physical delusion with the sciences, with the Big Bang. We'll examine how the sciences are offensively with physical delusions, so when only offensive evidence reception styles and fake differences of fact treatment nature sides, fake middles, valuing physical delusions into science. This is victim predators. Interscience in relationship also to why the predicate and the predicate act are simultaneously valued by this identity they share at the same time. The same reason why polarity shares this on a magnet when it receives the charge of electricity. People pretend that they understand it, but they don't understand it. There's also a semi-nature in that. That is the complete nature, which is a little bit more coming in. But then that's where the charge is goes out of the metal after a while. But in other words, all things are the same course at once, which is this identity, not only a value progression, value transfer, but as the identity causing the phenomena of more and more and more, a little bit more and a little bit more of temporary / lasting volume of forever nature, as its own identity nature, but as semi-natures of it. So there are 3 semi-natures of positive, which is identity of all things at once, is the complete nature of positive. Then there are 3 that there are semi-nature relationship to simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly. in relationship to themselves, because that has a simultaneously distinct relationship to our nature of volumes, relationship to itself. It's a fact treatment nature always, not denying any exceptions. It's value always, not denying any exceptions. It's part of value's nature always, not denying any exceptions. So we're going to call this value nature, inside value's nature. See, we have each of the sciences offensively victim-predator reactions to what is sustained, a method of sustained pseudo-care, torture, hurt, criminal insidiousness nature, database illusion stacking, tied to it as a method, having people pretend passions and emotions as theater positive, and then defenses of that, and as sequence shifting roles, where that is also used to like pretend there was communications before that. There never were. They're using each age of fact treatment nature in a trap, exploiting the exceptions. Like, we need to tell our people, oh, value the police, and for example, and the presidents have to explain the value of the police, which is simultaneously increasing as the service of the title, simultaneously increasing value. But at the same time, see that exceptions are being exploited originally and still. Each modern nation failed to counter and to explain and to understand the organized crime method that knew that and only realized natures of jobs of identity of the law in collusion with overt criminal enterprises, victim predators, in collusion with other nations, armies and stuff like that, identities of nations, all victim predators since semi-ancient times, in a trap that tactically black and white nations and the other nations in collusion with them, with ancient internation sciences networks, took it over, and with a perpetual plan, knowing that if they could get each modern nation to defend each nature of campuses, all distinctly non-distinctly hurt to different styles of the same non-distinct method of keeping them defending fact treatment nature, quality, intersciences, they keep them on off campuses, from off campuses, fluent through our nations, means to the real furtherance of overt criminal enterprises, of private ones originally still uncharged and valued, and motivations, natures, offensively preventing demonstration of that. All as victim predators, including the branches, distinctly and non-distinctly, and grouped, and sequentially wise, where sequence nature is three ways at once. For the phenomenon, there's a little bit more. Semi-nature as the complete nature of the identity of all things coming in and with our volume. And which is what is further divided as temporary positive and negative. Negative value nature is temporary positive, but it's not positive to what is positive overall to the identity nature's volume, grouped and individually at the same time. Sexes are the demonstration of this, of the simultaneous nature, how it connects its complete nature. As exception nature, but as identity of the nature of volume, which nature is identity. This is an identity nature unto and as all things. This obfuscated intersciences through ulterior motives and methods that knew that it was building criminal insidiousness natures of theater to and as the jobs informally, private and interbranch intersciences victim predators from off campuses and maintain sustained on off campuses reactions in relationship to systems manifest because they were value since before semi-ancient times. They were value to and as the value of our volume to the complete identity nature that we are simultaneously a semi-nature relationship to. So when it's now negative since semi-ancient times, leth of hadis, force from here. Force, space, nature, transfer. Nature in space, again, being value nature inside values nature, which is identity nature, which is what our nature is, with the semi-nature of positive and negative experience in that nature of volume. See how it's dividing that. See how the beginning of the Old Testament, God they have talking. This is also, when this, through decipher, this is about a method of thinking, an order of thinking, without physical delusions, that psychology is recorded, wrought with, and juxtaposed criminal foreign influences originally and still. Victim, predator, juxtaposed with that, with physical delusions, juxtaposed with natures of crime, interbranch of nations that don't like each other on paper, the same crime methods, the same offensive physical delusions and criminality associated with evidence reception roles they have interbranching with prisons and stuff like that, and with intercampuses, training on and off campuses, undercover police and stuff like that. Police shared identities of the law in every modern nation, defended as what causes negative value nature progression in demonstration of the loss of the perfect value progression that will only allow positive value nature progression's volume perfectly. And when it's not here, it's forced from here. So we're negative value nature progression for positive value nature progression somewhere else, which is the phenomena of one volume's relationship to itself, while being made now as a quality of diffusion coming through our bodies. Each individual body of temporary / lasting quality of diffusion has Alpha and Omega. See, Jesus Christ, the picture of him with Alpha on the right and Omega on the left. And, this is about, on his, Alpha on his right, written like an A. So when we're looking at this, we're seeing left to right A. And Omega, Alpha and Omega together are drawn as the W, capital W. Wall. WX. Then comes extinction. This is why all bodies of life have bodies. Because there's this identity nature, perfect value progression is in demonstration of itself as our complete nature, the one we are semi-nature too, as a nature of volume that is positive or negative, as temporary positive, but being forged as lasting negative, positive and negative. So an invention can work or not work in relationship to this identity of value. But it wants us and needs us to understand also that and how that invention can be positive or negative further forced as a value of progression, as a progressive value, as an active body of value discernment, grouped, connected value of valuing that and finite at the same time. And when they're doing that at the same time, it's finite, grouped, and sequentially. That's one of the ways they know correlation, because now it's correlation nature is by this identity. The identity that the polarities share. That is the real cause to what causes magnets to have a side that attracts to each other. If you put two magnets together and one that they repel each other when you put them another way, because they have a shared identity of value / value nature relationship to values nature, which is unchanging, which is perfect value progression. That modern markets were our tactical ulterior from to have maintained natures of pseudo-positive, all victim-predator roles, realized the defenses of justifications of that, and, fact treatment-wise. Each branch, each person, individual, group together progressively and sequentially from off campuses, and then on off campuses in sustained ways as a database illusion stack and crime method too, forced on our founders with and as the organized crime method that didn't let our founders have free speech. They had to hide their roles and pretend theater that was forced by laws that, again, tactically forced all to pseudo-positive, blaming the real causes of slavery on other things, not themselves, and only being capable of that, discerned and propagated per a method that knew they could keep this self-cultivated. And that defended is fact treatment nature defenses of what causes negative value nature progressions, action nature's value, needs to blame it on other things and others themselves, needs to value already inter-science handed up means to get away with offensive evidence perception predators with each area sustained, natures of pseudo-positive of sensibilities, inter-families, inter-cities, worse than interstate coordinated, to only let what is indifferent to this, or what is, each age of fact treatment nature. This is fake positive, fake aggression, and fake care, and sequence shifting in crime methods, roles that are maintained to maintain this self-cultivated. Them not realizing, because this was sophistication here, since before there were live progressions tied to each database. Live progression cover up natures, needing to hide from correlation nature simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. Not by accident, or already having had categorically, sequentially, and substantially tactically degraded sciences, each categorically. In other words, to have means to have no one see through theater, fake news, are recorded pretending they are not fake news. They are recorded pretending they are science. They are recorded pretending that it's personal, if you say that. To keep it from, and and they stack natures of crime acts roles and natures of crime acts to keep people having to say more and more, while they're in the background in collusion with courts interbranch recorded, crime acts in their courts proven, like sequence shifts, further recorded in Connecticut internatures of courts, criminally involved. Through recorded though. See, now this is tied to a proven sequence shift from inside the Ninth Circuit, and with the same actors involved criminally since before the Trade Center attack, with the ones criminally involved with the proven sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit Trade Center attack context, Manhattan, proven after. Documents had been postdated to appear late before panel judges that day, and then from inside the court, proven after they had been time stamped on time inside the court before that part of the case /S. And then there was a 2006 case attached to that with a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, who was a co-defendant with federal criminals who had crime roles with kids in my classes and with databases and with sequence shifts, identity theft crime acts roles, drug crime roles and stuff like that, and with crimes with interbranch, crime roles with cases where they're pretending to perceive things and making offensive evidence perception crimes, which no use of color was, offensive evidence perception crimes, offenses pretended passions, pretended morality, defenses of that, which the semi-ancient organized crime knew that defenses of that would be caused too, and as identities of negative of criminal seizures nature causing negative value nature progressions, rolls with all victim predators. So to come out of this, we have to have a quality of fact-checking nature that is allowed to report mandated crimes, that interbranch actors originally are still with military, foreign and domestic, and other police forms, and private still uncharged, overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed, and with another one that is keeping this to keep all blaming other and others, and that's recorded. We have to be able to report sequence shifts that interbranch actors, evidence crimes, pretending things are recorded in cases, in courts, crime methods, not letting this told on, and pretending things recorded, forging names interbranch to do this, attaching family members to tortures. No, a torture methods recorded since before 9/11 because other nations like other nations involved with that coalition and not are involved with the same kind of organized crime rules, and juxtaposed with physical delusion, juxtaposed with manifest areas liars, appreciation of offensive evidence perception, illusions, pretended perceived things, where there are no credibility originally still because everyone's in collusion, fake sides, even the overt criminal enterprises in collusion with the branches, with especially with psychology, with the branches recorded originally and still, delusions wrought, database crimes, methods uncharged but recorded, mandate crimes uncharged but recorded. See, these are people exploiting men and women, forcing sex crime acts roles with the courts as means to force reactions to types of experts for the jobs of the law being used as weapons and being used as breaching screens, again as pseudo-positive. So the New York Gang, the boroughs book, we should be, the faster you guys take part, then we have an organized crime counter on the same page that we're making money from, that you guys are making money from. Because the boroughs book is going to be written together, and you guys, it's going to be owned by a process, and we're going to mean stack into that process. So, in that is reparations. In that is counters to where and how everything we're going to try to do, it's going to make not just unequal, it's going to be exploited by the fact-checking nature, valuing pseudo-positive already invested this way, all victim predators, blaming the real causes of pseudosciences, pretended, a constitution abridged in our faces, our founders' identities stolen, and are stolen. All victim predators about what it means, job value, the value of humanity. All victim predators with physical delusions regarding what is capable by our means with infrastructure in regards to even the existence of, but it actually recorded anyways, but of tactically denatured relationship to nature, tactically denatured relationship to correlation, hierarchy as identity, as evidence, demonstration tool, method. So we have offensive evidence, reception predators, formal, informal, all that juxtaposed. Yes. So we'll play the New York game. But wait, you know what I'm saying? All we need is one person from one borough. All we need is a person from anywhere in the world who wants to help with the borough, because we're going to set up the species game anyways. Anyway. You know, I can't go, I'm trying to, if someone wants to start that first, we'll do that. You know, they beat you in New York in speed. But the trick or treat is coming. And it's up to you guys. Same way. Coal or gifts. Santa's Claus alone is read one way. You'll see here many pray. We'll examine systemic, sick natures of victim-predator roles with prisons originally instilled, criminally foreign influence, in conjunction with the interbranches, physical delusions, and criminal foreign influences. Interscience, all victim-predator fact treatment nature values of pseudo-positive, of sequence shifts, because they're crime predators with behavior and with a method exploiting each age of fact treatment nature by forcing only theater to speak and per all kinds of natures of crimes, like gun crimes and stuff like that, with police forms and branches in collusion and with everything else, because this is facilitated completely as fact treatment nature, crime methods and roles. So forgiveness was for this, because these are sick branches. These are sick prisons. We'll examine. There's a prison in Sandy Hook, Newtown, with doctors and judges and police forms and political families and overt criminal enterprises and other victim predators associated with New Park Avenue and with police chiefs criminally involved with their families. Interbranch, retired and standing, and with houses in my area, with sex offenders, with identity theft cliques, and drug untimely deaths tied that brought it up. Confessions tied to a Dillon family, with all kinds of natures of crime acts rolls through time, with child abuses roles, and with the new and past neighbors recorded and confessed involved with him with campuses crimes facilitated to them. See, they're trying to make people that not understand. Most people won't understand, and they're going to blame the causes of other things on others themselves. I'm blaming them for what is recorded, and I'm asking them to fix the records. They're not doing this because they have the fake news also invested with their private police criminally involved. With all of O'Brien family also recorded and confessed criminally involved, and with the extended family members, with the identity thefts for the houses in my area. Criminal uses of the sensibilities of women, sequence shifts, so they can pretend to perceive things and right things wrong. They're playing that. They're playing some. Okay, we'll examine this. We'll examine this. We have to have the fake news fixed. WFSB, Fox CT, WTNH. Please fix your fake news real fast, because is also sexual harassment. Is also identity thefts with two Mendez police brothers through time, with a whole bunch of other people in my area who were pretending they had conversations with me behind my back and to my sister, and they're recorded involved with crimes with databases with interbranch actors and interbranch police, military ones, and foreign families from off campuses, and with a Leahy family and other doctors and people tied to databases criminally involved with them through time, pretending they had a conversation, the identity theft crime acts, drug crime acts with the kids, and with sex crime acts and stuff tied to them into their crimes with various natures of courts recorded, with judges and their families personally, with them hiding this with crime methods recorded, like them recorded pretending that they said things by saying things onto the record after other was already recorded. Sequence shift, cover-up, evidence fabrication methods recorded. Whole nature, identity thefts, sex crime acts roles with the judges, because with the sequence shifts. Preventing this from being recorded, sustaining such, and using lies through interbranch kids who have to lie through their kids because they were raised before they were in the courts, spreading lies about other people, pretending they had conversations with other people, hiding their roles with drug crimes and stuff like that. They were pretending they're just legal because they're involved with interbranch now, criminally involved. With sex offender, with a principal sex offender, they forced to hide other sex crime acts and stuff that were recorded and confessed and demonstrated to me with the school per other stuff that brought up, like untimely deaths, with cliques tied to one at Trinity College with all kinds of natures of federal crimes with the uses of the context and the people at the colleges from off campuses. So we have judges criminally involved with depositions too. Uses of Hartford Superior Court recorded and confessed involved with military police, with Eric Burgess, and with Emily or Amy, recorded and confessed also involved with an officer named Hunter, recorded and confessed involved with identity thefts, spreading rumors on off CCSU, criminally involved with them, with cases through time, intercampus, intercity, their roles with on off campuses, places, their roles with the media, criminally foreign influence, with media fake news crime acts, sex crime acts, identity theft crime acts, and methods recorded. Their roles with a whole bunch of people from Wethersfield involved with this that need to that are slandering me because they're caught, because they were facilitated to it. They need to pretend it's personal too, so they can't respond. No, I'm not saying that. No, they're saying, "Oh, I have nothing to do with them." Someone, there's a Joshua Julian still recorded and involved with child sex offenders, interbranch recorded, and with the campus of the principal sex offender they forced, also with this Joshua Julian. So this is why, they're gonna have to fix it. These are also people recorded and confessed involved with a proven sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit, tied to federal criminals and to the former director of the FBI, who, in a 2006 case, who part of the case, who was their co-defendant, and his lawyer also criminally involved with them, and with other federal criminals and police forms with extortion crime acts, mail crimes, and one's intercity, identity theft crime acts, sequence shifts crime acts in interbranch Connecticut databases, interbranch in the cases, forging and switching names into branch. See, now that's recorded. The other one's proven in the Ninth Circuit, and this is tied to and as proofs of crimes in the Washington Ninth Circuit, and with and as the media recorded with the sex crime acts roles by attaching me to fake sides of stories, attaching my family to fake sides of stories. They're recorded crime acts, roles, and methods with their private police, interbranch sources, and their lawyers. They're preventing mandated law by pretending they're hiding all those crime acts and roles. That's how they're facilitated to it. Also, military, foreign, and domestic, criminally involved. Fayenza family, WFSB, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminally involved with them. And they're also recorded, confessed with women tied to them, police forms and stuff like that too. Crimes with overt criminal enterprises too, with the Dillon family, and their roles with the child offenders, interbranch, and with the state judicial branch officers criminally involved, and houses next to it recorded, confessed, involved. A yacht club in Wethersfield, and houses next to it criminally confessed and recorded involved criminally through time. Databases crimes, identity thefts, also with doctors and stuff tied to houses on Church Street with drug crimes with agencies and with their family members, and private stuff, and like different kinds of police and foreign, like state police stuff, with forensic stuff criminally involved through time. Also with forensics crimes and crime roles and natures recorded tied to crimes with a Fayenza family, intercity through time. I don't know them too. They're pretending these things are personal. They sought me out for these confessions, and then they're attached to more and more other people with tied crimes, also with buildings in Hartford with them, and with a Allegro Cafe in these two Mendez police brothers with interbranch recorded names with other officers. A McGee, they said they have one, but they have 3 times. They had the first time. They have a MPO Floyd also had a different McGee, and there's some kids, and with like a red haired guy McGee and stuff like that, with a woman and stuff associated with kids experts and stuff, intercity with the police forms criminally involved with them, and tied to casinos, the policing of the casinos, interbranch. Because they're hiding their life progressions, and they need to hide their natures, where they have no integrity. So they're using fake news crime acts and fake passions with the fake news offensively. And fake care offensively. They're building theater natures. They're pretending they're doing vetting and things like that. These are real foreign and domestic policing and psychology families through time, like doing sick things to hurt everyone not insidious with them. Already their parents needing to hide life progressions with them. You know, this is recorded raising interbranching criminal incompetence, pretending other, offensively, dishonestly. And they're not, in other words, they're not following mandated law. We have formal people recorded consciously, criminally, lying to themselves and to others about their value of me too. Because what are they doing? They're pretending that's mandated law. They're recorded preventing people who could demonstrate the actual causes without blaming them on other things and others themselves, which are crime acts not being reported, because we have offensive, criminally used the phrase grandiose allegations put into databases to pretend people had conversations, forging names, with the drug clicks with the courts criminally involved, and with depositions leading up to the 2006 case with the police forms and the federal criminals involved with the kids, now adults, as involved with child sex offenders and their co-defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and these crimes as crime acts rolls recorded and child offenders rolls recorded with various religious and election spots, election crimes, town office